Okay, so I am Candace. I am the main soap maker at For Faith Farms, and today I'm going to be making one of our band-inspired, musician-inspired soaps. This one is for one of our family's favorites, current favorites. This is not a band that I actually had much experience with, knowledge of, I don't know, up until my kids reintroduced me and my husband to them. And now I can't understand why I ever didn't appreciate them as much as I do now. But this band is Journey. And the reason why we chose Journey and why we're doing specifically a soap for one of their albums is twofold. My kids and I were talking about it yesterday, trying to figure out when the whole Journey thing started, but it was about 10 years ago. My husband had a cell phone he wasn't using any longer, and we homeschool, so our kids didn't have cell phones. Not that that's a prerequisite for homeschooling, but we just couldn't afford for everybody to have cell phones either, nor did we think it was a good thing for teenagers to have, but unless it was necessary. So anyway, he gave her one of his old cell phones, and we allowed her to listen to iHeartRadio and our Amazon Music subscription that we had, and she discovered 80s music, which we had always listened to in the car because, I grew up in the 80s. So we always had it on the XM radio, the 80s on 8. And she discovered some bands that she liked. So in her research, she found Journey. And then she introduced a few songs to her older brother. And then he started delving into the band more because he really liked it. And Steve Perry in particular. And he reintroduced my husband and I, which we really don't know why, except for the fact that I think there was this whole stigma against corporate rock bands or bands that were, trying to make popular songs. Heaven forbid you actually try to do things that people like, but evidently the critics didn't like that. So anyway, maybe that's why, we don't know. But we rediscovered Journey, or really discovered him for the first time, because I knew the songs, but I didn't know who did it. So I actually liked a lot of their songs, but I didn't know who they were. And then he discovered Steve Perry by himself, and then that goes to the twofold part. One of our goats, one of my son's goats actually, she belongs to him. She was born on Steve Perry's birthday. So her name is Sherry. And we named one of her kids Journey. And the other one, I don't know, I think it was also something to do with Rick Springfield, because my son really likes him too. So one of the kids out of that batch of kids was also named Jesse's Girl. And we had Sherry, Journey, Jesse's Girl, and I think there's just three does that were in that batch of kids. And then Sherry last year had kids that were born the same month as Steve Perry's Street Talk album came out. So we still went with the theme again, and we named some kids after songs from Steve Perry's Street Talk album. But the album that inspired the soap today, because I just think the cover, and this was my son's, I asked him to find me the best cover, and we picked this one, the Journey's Trial by Fire CD. And my design really is going to try to match this as much as possible. Except for the things that are in it. I obviously can't make a half mermaid, cat woman, and a baby in a boat. Those aren't going to be in the soap, nor are the palm trees. But a lot of the colors and stuff, I'm going to do a beach layer, and then a water layer, and then we have an embed for the earth that's in there, and then layers of purple and blue are going to be hopefully in a V shape, kind of like how this is, two-tone like that at the top. So that is the inspiration. That is the design inspiration. So we shall see how close I come. And then this soap will be the last soap that we're doing as part of our March release, our spring release, which will be coming, it will be released today, actually, when this video posts, which is March 16th of 2020. So you can go to our website and check out all the soaps that are part of our March release, which is the Trial by Fire Journey soap, also the U2 Joshua Tree inspired soap, our Dewberry soap, Pearberry, and Herb Garden, which was our essential oil soap for this one. And this one is the fragrance is called Agave Lime for this one, for the Trial by Fire. It is a kind of went with like a tropical theme because of the palm trees and the beach scene. So anyway, so that is the fragrance, and I'll talk to you more about that while I'm making the soap. But anyway, so I hope you enjoy watching us make the Trial by Fire, and we'll see how I do. Okie dokie. This one is was totally inspired by the Trial by Fire mica from Nurture Soap. It actually inspired this whole tribute soap to musicians, rock bands, doesn't necessarily have to be rock music, but by band, musician inspired soap. And this one is probably the most complicated design that I have ever come up with. And the fragrance that we're going to be using today is called Agave Lime. It's from Nurture Soap, and I might not talk a lot because this one has lots and lots of parts. So let's get started. Got my lye and my goat's milk solution. And we're gonna pour that through our strainer. I hate that noise. All right, and the things we do to make soap. All right. And we'll get this strained through the filter. Catch all that. It really doesn't, it catches a lot of the fat that could get in there and go rancid. So this is definitely a necessary step if you make goat's milk soap with frozen milk, which is what we do. And this is milk from our own herd, no powdered milk. So we're just going to blend this for a little bit. Don't know, I need some of these layers to set up, so before I can move on to other layers. So we want it to be a little bit more, a little thicker. Doing a single very small mold, so this is extremely limited. If it goes well, because this is kind of, this is my trial batch, Trial by Fire. So we'll see how it goes. Since I have so many different layers, I'm going to not put the fragrance oil in all at once to the big batch. We're gonna do it separately. Now, our first batch, our first layer is going to have some apricot seed powder in it. I'm trying to figure out exactly how much I'm gonna need for each layer. And this one is going to be the beach layer. And I'm going to use a little bit of brown mica, but I'm going to add some titanium dioxide to lighten it up to get it to more of a sandy color, hopefully. Usually I would use, if I was going to make brown, I would use or in that brown family, I would use cocoa powder, but I was kind of afraid of it because it does tend to make soap thicken up faster, which is kind of actually needed it to do that. But this layer, not really. This one is just the base layer. It's the next layer. All right, so we're gonna mold over here, and we're going to I want that just to cover the bottom, which it did more than that, so I probably did a little bit too much of this one. But we're gonna have to let that sit a minute, and then we'll be back and I'll let this set. I'll get the second layer going, and this one I'm gonna actually add the fragrance oil to first. And we'll go ahead and add the fragrance to the other ones. And we'll add the rest of it in here. This layer is going to be textured. I'm gonna do blue. And this one is the blue, let me see, it's blue, it's just a blue mica from Crafter's Choice. Get all that screwed down. Which is Wholesale Supplies Plus. And I kind of need this one to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to add just a little bit of the titanium dioxide to this one too. I kind of thought it was going to be needing to be lightened up. It's the wave portion of the soap, which is whole soap if you are Journey fans. The design is inspired by the Trial by Fire album cover, which Journey had some awesome album covers. Most album covers are kind of pretty plain, but Journey did a good job. Theirs were really plain. So we're going to use the just going to use the spatula to break the fall of this one because I don't want it to break through my beach layer. And this fragrance appears to be actually lightening or slowing down trace. All right, so I need just a little bit. This one. A little bit more for that one. I'll have to figure out how I can get my camera at an angle where you guys can see. All right, so we got the blue layer in, and I was gonna use a comb, but I think what I'm gonna do is just texture it with the spatula just by pulling up on it to make waves, a wave texture. You just push it. So I don't think my layer is thick enough to do what I wanted to do with the comb. So this will get us the same kind of effect that we were going for. Just the same. All right, so lay that layer in. I don't want to tip it too much. See what it looks like. See, a little bit of wave action going on. And this one needs to set up pretty well, because we're going to, I don't know if it's, I think it may be set up enough, we'll see. We're going to use the circle embed that I made. It's also made with our goat's milk soap. I just made it using a column mold and swirled to look like the earth. And that one goes down right into the center, and cool, it stayed. Awesome sauce. All right, now our second layer, or third layer, I'm sorry, is going to be a yellow layer, which is using a Yellow Vibrance mica by Nurture Soap. And this one, hopefully I've got enough to go all the way down. And on the album cover, all the layers were kind of uneven. So if you look at the album cover, so that's what I'm going for. I don't need everything to be perfectly level, except for our base was supposed to be. And hopefully it is. Alrighty. So on to layer number 4, which is, it is a mixture of Mango Tango mica from Nurture Soap and the Trial by Fire mica from Nurture Soap. All right. And this one hopefully will finish covering up. We want it to cover up the earth. At least I think that's what it is from the album cover. My son would probably know. He actually reintroduced my husband and I to Journey. I don't know why, but growing up, we always thought Journey wasn't cool for some reason. I guess because they were always labeled as being corporate rock, as my son tells me. I didn't even know what that was, but bands that gasp, actually try to make songs that people want to hear to make money. I don't know, I think that's what everybody who's selling stuff wants to do, isn't it? You want to make things that people want to buy? Didn't know that was such a bad thing. All right, we'll kind of smooth this one out a little bit. And this is behaving rather well, getting to be just the like perfect texture that I need. So this is awesome for this complicated of a recipe. I'm very grateful to this fragrance oil for that. All right, so now on to the top, which is actually going to be two different, oh there, now you go, now you can see. It's going to be two different colors, and I'm going to try, operative word, to get it to be on an angle. So we shall see how this works out. And I guess it doesn't matter which side, which goes on which side. It is really thickening up over here. And this is supposed to be a nice darker blue. I think they were going, I don't know if they were going for sunset look, but I mean, with the, it wasn't the sun, it's the earth. At least I think so. I mean, what else is blue with like white clouds in it besides the earth? I'm sure there was some very deep meaning. All right, so we're gonna just pour this down this side, keeping it just on the one side. Never tried to pour soap in this way from this angle into a mold, so if I seem kind of awkward, but you guys can actually see this way, so I guess I figured it out. This reminds me of a nice like, denim blue color. Kind of cool. Can't remember which one this one was. It is lapis blue mica from Wholesale Supplies Plus Crafter's Choice. So I'm gonna just kind of flatten that out a little bit. I don't want to take up too much room because I still got to do the other side. All right, so now I'll tip it this direction and before it spreads. Wow, now we're getting thick. Oh well, hopefully I can get it in there. I should be able to. Let's mix that. And sorry, my neighbors, if you can hear the dogs. Obviously, they let the dogs out. And being 5 dachshunds that my neighbors have, they tend to bark a lot. But the neighbors do not complain about our goats, because we are in very close proximity to our neighbors. We only have almost 1.6 acres. And our neighbors our acreage, if you want to call it that, our property is very wooded, and it is pretty much one of the only properties in this neighborhood that has a lot of trees, and that buffers the sound a lot from our property. But it doesn't stop their dogs from being heard. That does help. They don't complain about the goats, so, and they can be noisy certain times of year because we have bucks and does. The does can scream a lot during Sorry about that. Okay, so that is it. I think maybe I might add a little glitter. Let's go find some. So hopefully that red Trial by Fire is going to stay a red. It's supposed to, from the site description. It's supposed to be a nice. How close I came to my design for the Trial by Fire Journey Inspired soap. Okay, I don't think I've been more nervous to cut a soap in my whole soap career, because this one was so complicated and I really wanted it to look so good. I'm just so nervous about actually getting it cut. So anyway, this is, let's just see how we did, how close I came to my design. I always forget, for this mold I gotta move it back a little bit to my line. All right, I cut just a little bit off the end to go a little slow because I do have that embed in there. I have to remember that. Oh wow, that is pretty darn design. Except for it did break through down there. Maybe when I put the circle mold in there. Alright, so we have the beach layer, the waves, and then we're gonna call this like sunrise, sunset, and then I don't know, I guess I don't know what they were going with the darker colors in the sky. But pretty darn cool. See the top with the trial by fire mica. Guess it all. I did want it to be wavy, but I did kind of want that bottom to be. But maybe it looks more like an actual beach with the waves coming up on the beach. I don't know, believe it or not. Even though I grew up, mostly moved to Florida when I was 14, and I don't want to date myself. We have lived here. I've lived in Florida over 25 years. We did spend a few years in Tennessee, so I don't count those. My children will tell you that our years in Tennessee were their favorite, and probably because we actually are totally not beach people. I like to look at it, but I do not like going to the beach. Never really have. Even in high school and all my friends, we used to just go to the beach, but it wasn't something I actually looked forward to. I liked being with my friends, but I did not like the beach. As a swimmer, I liked swimming in a pool, and you can do that anywhere. And I don't know if there are any songs on the whole Trial by Fire album that have anything to do with the beach, but I would have to ask my son about that one. It is one of my favorite albums though, but he knows every song on an album. I usually just know the hits, because I don't know if I have ever listened to a whole album in my life. All right, we'll just leave that one. That can be a sample piece. I have a very thin beach on that one. Lots of waves. Do we get the wave? See how it comes up? That was what I was going for. Trying to do all of those different layers and the 2 layers on the top. I think it came out pretty darn cool. Super stoked about that. So, y'all think I did a good job on my Trial by Fire Journey inspiration soap? I don't know, Steve Perry, he doesn't talk to anybody. He just keeps a really low profile, so I don't know if he would ever talk about it or he'll ever see this, but Trial by Fire, one of the best Journey albums, I think. One of my favorites, except for I like Street Talk, which was Steve Perry's one of his solo albums, and we've actually named goats after songs that were on that album because they were born during the month it was released. And then our goat Sherry was actually born on Steve Perry's birthday, so that is why her name is Matthew 21 O Sherry. So anyway, if you liked this video, if you thought I did a good job, please comment and let me know. If you have anything negative to say, I don't really want to hear it, so don't leave a comment. Let me know how you liked it, how you liked the video, and if you liked it, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right up there, and let us know how we did and what you thought of this soap. If you have any bands, musicians that you'd like to see us do in future, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. Y'all have a blessed day, and thank you for watching.